For working royals, touring the globe isn't just a privilege, but an expectation. Key family members visit all corners of the world, usually enjoying some of the best royal tiara moments at lavish state banquets or showcasing some of the best royal necklaces from the vaults. It's not all about showcasing the historic treasures and trinkets, though. Royal tours strengthen bonds between countries and solidify the importance of the royal family in an ever-changing world. We take a trip down memory lane and revisit the best royal tour moments, from William and Kate's first tour to Queen Elizabeth's Golden Jubilee Commonwealth tour. Number 1, Queen Elizabeth's first official overseas tour, and the last one with her family. King George VI and Queen Elizabeth, best known as the Queen Mother by modern readers, were joined by the then Princess Elizabeth and Princess Margaret for a 3-month tour of the Southern African dominions in 1947. The family of 4 were seen visiting South Africa, Southern Rhodesia, Swaziland, Basutoland, and the Bechuanaland Protectorate, where they greeted the locals and took part in adventures including horse riding. It was a significant tour for one reason: it was their only joint tour as a family. King George would die 5 years later, in 1952. Number 2, Siblings on Safari, Charles and Anne in Kenya. Family memories are a little different when you're royal. The then Prince of Wales and Princess Anne went on an official tour to Kenya in 1971, which the Princess Royal also undertook in her role as president of the Save the Children Fund. Highlights of the visit include a safari in the Maasai Game Reserve in Nairobi, during which Prince Charles and Princess Anne reportedly saw a lion from the back of their jeep. Charles also met gamekeepers to learn about animal preservation. Number 3, Prince William and Kate Middleton's first tour. The Prince and Princess of Wales undertook their first official overseas tour to Canada just 2 months after their wedding. It was Kate's first ever tour as a royal, and the couple were 2 of the most sought-after individuals in the world as royal mania had hit its fever pitch. The royal couple visited all of Canada's regions during the 9-day tour. Number 5, Kate goes barefoot in Kuala Lumpur. The Prince and Princess of Wales visited the Asiakaran Mosque in Kuala Lumpur during their 2012 tour of Malaysia. As a sign of respect for different faiths, Kate wore a floaty white dress and matching headscarf. This wasn't a moment to observe Kate Middleton's shoes; they both removed their shoes to enter the mosque, as is custom. Number 6, President Eisenhower meets Queen Elizabeth. Although the late Queen Elizabeth had visited the USA before, her visit in October 1957 marked Elizabeth II's first visit to the country as Queen. She was hosted by the 34th President, Dwight D. Eisenhower, for her 4-day state trip, during which included visits to New York City, Washington, and Virginia. A little-known Queen Elizabeth fact: President Eisenhower had actually met Elizabeth when she was a princess, so the reunion was poignant for them both, capturing a true moment of history. Number 7, Princess Anne wraps up in Canada. For the tour of Canada in 1970, Queen Elizabeth brought along her children, including a young Princess Anne. During the tour, the royals chatted with Inuit women. The Queen was later presented with the 8-foot horn of the rare Arctic whale, and Princess Anne was given a traditional outfit trimmed with Arctic fox made for her by the Inuits. Number 8, Queen Elizabeth's first trip to Russia. Another historic event was the late Queen's visit to Russia in October 1994, marking her first ever trip to the country. Hosted by Boris Yeltsin, the first president of Russia following the dissolution of the Soviet Union, a spokesman for Yeltsin commented on the significance of the moment, stating, "We realized that the British Queen would never have visited a communist country." Number 9, William and Kate dance for the Diamond Jubilee. Prince William and Princess Kate Middleton celebrated the final part of the Diamond Jubilee tour by busting out their best dance moves in 2012. One of our favorite Princess Kate Middleton and Prince William moments: the pair were keen to get involved with some traditional island music, and William showed his dad moves, even if he didn't have the excuse of being a father at the time. Number 10, a historic trip to India. India had been part of the British Empire within the Queen's lifetime, with her own parents, King George VI and the Queen Mother, then Queen Consort, having been the last Emperor and Empress of India. However, the British Raj was dissolved in 1947. With the backdrop of England's questionable past with the country, a notable change in the dynamics was felt when the Queen and Prince Philip made a state visit to India in 1961. It was the first trip by a reigning British monarch since the country gained its independence and proved to be a successful one. Number 11, Princess Diana in Egypt. Sometimes, the story behind a picture paints more of the story. The late Princess Diana reportedly didn't want to pose much while on her tour of Egypt. The day before Diana visited the pyramids, people report that she told her photographer Anwar Hussein that she did not feel comfortable taking the photograph. When people ask me to stand in front of places like the pyramids, I feel awkward, especially when I'm on my own. I don't like posing. But I will do it really quickly and once, and you can grab the picture, she told him. Now regarded as one of the most iconic photos of the people's princess, the press were reportedly disappointed with the photo at the time, upset that she'd chosen to wear a tan-colored outfit instead of something more colorful that would stand out with the desert scenery. Number 12, Queen Elizabeth cracks a joke with Ronald Reagan. You might not guess it from this demure picture, but during a 1983 tour of the United States, Queen Elizabeth had President Ronald Reagan in hysterics and proved she had a drywood underneath the pomp and ceremony. President Reagan hosted a dinner event for Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip. The late Queen chose a beaded ivory gown, but her quips proved to be the real memorable highlights. After experiencing a bunch of rain and bad weather, the Queen joked, "I knew before we came that we had exported many of our traditions to the United States. I had not realized before that weather was one of them." Number 13, William and Kate take a bite out of the Big Apple. While expecting Princess Charlotte, William and Kate went on their fourth royal tour as a married couple, swapping the Big Smoke for the Big Apple. Their visit to New York City included a stay at the Carlisle Hotel, an old favorite of Princess Diana's. During their trip, they met with the likes of Hillary Clinton, and caught a basketball game where LeBron James presented them with their own jerseys. Number 14, Queen Elizabeth meets Nelson Mandela. The Queen first visited South Africa as a young princess with her parents and sister, and turned 21 during the tour. In a speech broadcast from Cape Town on her birthday, the future Queen pledged her commitment to the Commonwealth, promising that her whole life shall be devoted to your service. Yet the horrors of apartheid in 1948 meant the royal family did not visit the country for several years, despite the Queen technically being its monarch until 1961, so it was a huge moment in history when the Queen and Prince Philip traveled there aboard the royal yacht Britannia in 1995. It was a show of support for the end of apartheid and Nelson Mandela, the country's president at the time after his incarceration. Number 15, Princess Margaret in Tanzania. Queen Elizabeth's younger sister, Princess Margaret, went on a 5-week tour of Mauritius and East Africa in 1956. This was the second, and longest, solo tour undertaken by Princess Margaret. The princess's first Commonwealth visit alone was to the Caribbean in 1955. Number 16, Princess Diana in Japan. Princess Diana visited Japan in 1986, and proved how her popularity had traveled the globe. Diana's first full day in Japan started with a trip to the early 17th century Nijo Castle, a short trip from the Kyoto Imperial Palace. At the castle, Diana experienced a traditional tea ceremony and sipped green tea. Later, she visited the Shugakuen Imperial Villa where Diana tried on a peach-colored furisode kimono. Number 17, Prince Charles dances up a storm in Argentina. In 1999, the then Prince Charles arrived in Argentina for the first visit by a Prince of Wales in 67 years. During the 2-day state visit to Buenos Aires, the now King Charles once again showed off his penchant for dancing, this time getting in the spirit of things with a hands-on tango with Adrienne Vasilev. Number 18, the Queen's Silver Jubilee Tour. To mark the milestone of 25 years on the throne, the Queen undertook a special Silver Jubilee tour in 1977. With Prince Philip by her side, the couple traveled over 56,000 miles during the impressive tour, visiting 14 Commonwealth countries, including Australia and New Zealand. There were also some firsts, as they made the first ever royal trip to the island nations of Fiji and Tonga. It was an important reminder of how seriously the late Queen took her duties, even 25 years into her reign. Number 19, Baby on board, Prince George's first tour. The Prince and Princess of Wales's third-ever royal tour was a 3-week tour of Australia and New Zealand, but the real highlight of the trip was it marking a baby Prince George's first time traveling with his parents. Number 20, Harry and Meghan in New Zealand. In October 2018, a few months after their May wedding, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle went on a whirlwind tour of Australia and New Zealand. On the last day of their tour, Harry and Meghan wore traditional Korowai cloaks on a visit to Te Papeoramari in Rotorua, where they participated in the Pauhaiari, the ceremony of welcome. Number 21, Kate Middleton shows off her skills in Pakistan. William and Kate's tour of Pakistan in 2019 was a true highlight for fans of the now Princess of Wales, as they got to see all facets of her personality. Not only did the sporty Kate get to show off her cricket skills during a fun game alongside her husband, she stepped out looking every inch the princess she'd become in a dazzling emerald green gown in the evening. It wasn't the first time Kate had shown off her cricketing skills, having worn high heels for a game in New Zealand in 2014 and once again during a trip to India in 2016. Number 22, Cheers to Ireland. A trip to Ireland in 2020 was more important than it initially might have seemed. Prince William and Princess Kate Middleton's trip in 2020 was their first official trip to the country, but it was also the first time any member of the royal family had visited following Brexit. During their 3-day trip, the couple spent time in Dublin, County Meath, County Kildare, and Galway. Kate, who is known to love a pint of Guinness, enjoyed sipping the traditional stout. Perks of the job. Number 23, the Golden Jubilee Commonwealth Tour, tinged with tragedy. To mark the 50th anniversary of her accession to the throne, the Queen undertook a special Golden Jubilee tour to visit 4 Commonwealth countries, Jamaica, New Zealand, Australia and Canada, kicking off in February 2002. However, the huge milestone was somewhat tinged with sadness. Earlier in the same month, the Queen lost her only sister, Princess Margaret. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to leave comments and to like and subscribe. Thank you.